Are the first page of this kuntas, 5 lines from the bottom. The line begins with the word hamekabel. Of course, we already touched upon this.
That's 6 lines.
That is pointing out, just mentioning the principle, and we ought to focus in and try to understand the significance and the truth of this principle. That the Rav and the mekabel, the mashpia and the mekabel are not in the same world. What does mekabel mean? The recipient. Mashpia means one who is bestowing. Recipient is also a madreya, which means that he is able to receive the oil and absorb it, relate to it. He also has sechel. But he has sechel, one sechel is being bestowed upon him. Whereas a mashpia has sechel at a much higher level, has the source of the sechel. And then he draws from that source in honor of sechel.
No, close it. I closed it for a reason. Not a problem.
We have a very simple, extremely simple means by which we can begin to understand this. In today's world, we have robots, and the robots can be very sophisticated. There are robots that walk, literally have legs, and they move their legs. What is the difference between a human being walking and a robot walking? I think it's a good means to understand the principle of mashpia, of sechel. The human being, he has the idea, as we said many times, movement. He has to be able to reach a distant place. And he finds the means by which he can reach that place. It's a distant place, he finds the means by which he can reach. The means by which he can reach it is entirely secondary. This is not what he's involved in. The spirit behind his movement is not the movement, it's the getting there. Getting where he needs to be. The robot has no concept of getting there. The robot is completely devoid of oil.
Mechanical?
Huh?
Mechanical?
Devoid of oil. There is no significance to his walking. The human being is entirely in oil. That's what a human being is. Like I said the other day, it's a really a very interesting recognition. We created cars. What is the concept of a car? What motivated the creation of cars? The human quest to be able to be any place he wants to be. At the great distance from where he is, he has to be able to relate to the entire world. Or to the entire city, or to the entire neighborhood. So then we went down and we started focusing on the keli, on the means by which we get there. And we created cars of tremendous capabilities. Such capabilities that they're totally useless on the street because they travel at 200 miles per hour. They're useless in terms of normal human use. The whole thing is focused on the fact that they are able to move. Not to get there, but to move. So what are they used for? Going in circles, beating the other guy, but going faster than the other guy. That's it. This is really by human concept, by human intelligence, not called a car. It's called the robot of a car. There's no oil to it. So now we come to the mashpia and the mekabel. The mashpia, he is totally at a different level. He is totally into oil, into the reality. The mekabel cannot get his sechel from that level. But if you explain it to him, at his level, he also understands the sechel. He also sees its significance. That's why he's called a mekabel. He is mekabel oil sechel. What is a mekabel? The oil sechel, not the robotic element, the technical element. That's not sechel at all. He's not a mekabel. The mashpia does not intend to give him the technical logic of the sechel. He wants to give him the oil sechel. So this is what the Rebbe is asking. Let's go inside. What the hamekabel? V'im kein, and therefore, lefi zeh, according to this, that we just finished saying that the mashpia and the mekabel, the oil the mashpia, the oil the mekabel, asher lo b'yerech, and therefore the mashpia cannot even recognize what the mekabel, where the mekabel is and what he can be mashpia to the mekabel. And in order to recognize the oil mekabel, he has to first be mitzam from his own sechel. Das ist ja die von Tzimtzum. What is the tzimtzum of his own sechel? What is unique in his own sechel? His own sechel is that his sechel, he recognizes the source from where it's coming from. He is not creating the sechel. He sees the source of that which is the higher than the sechel, from which the sechel is coming from. And the whole union of the sechel is to put that oil in kelim. But essentially, he recognizes the significance of the like we said, the significance of the soul rather than the activity of the soul, the action. What is the significance of davening, for example? You're saying the words, but why are we saying the words? What's behind these words? Connection to Elokus. This is where the words are coming from. This is where the words are. Thank you. We say every day, you take as an example, Hameir La'oretz V'Adonim Aleho, the one who illuminates to the land, V'Adonim Aleho, into its dwellers. This is Bichas Yetzer. How does the Rebbe give light to the earth? The sun rises up, and the sun gives light. So what is Hamoyer La'oretz mean? How do you relate to where is the Rebbe comes into? He created the sun, fine. But the light, it gets from the sun, not from Meirish. The principle of this bracha is, yes, indeed, on the bottom line, in the physical arena, the sun is what brings light. But how did we get the whole idea that light is of value? How did the world invent light? The world is in itself dark. Who invented light into the world? The Creator, Eibishter. Please understand what that means. It means that when we see light, and we see that this light has come from the sun, we are blind. We're not seeing the reality. We're not seeing light in its true significance. The true significance is a miracle that we can appreciate light. In the real sense of the word. If we appreciate light only to the extent that I can walk around and not bang my head into the wall, that's not light. As we said many times, you can know that by touch, by feel. Light is a godly gift to the world. It is true it's contained in a keli, but nonetheless, this is the oir, even though it's contained, but we relate to the oir of it, to its significance, which is something which is bestowed into the world. It's not something that you discover in the world, within the world itself. The reason we have candlelight is because we're trying to imitate daylight. But if not for daylight, we would never even know that this thing is light.
Also, if there's no light, what's the need of eyes?
What?
If there's no light, what's the need of eyes?
That's right. So this is the pshat. The mekabel, he takes the hashpah from the mashpia at his level, but he's taking hashpah. What mashpia wants to be mashpia, the oir sechel. But the oir sechel is at the level of the mekabel. And in order for the mashpia to identify the sechel that's pertinent to the mekabel, he has to, what's called mitzamtzim, he has to eliminate and remove his initial perception, the reality of it itself. Yeah, in other words, he has to recognize that there are two levels. There is the source, and there is the rabbinic level, the functional level. To the mekabel, he can only talk about the functional level, but tell him, listen, but this is real oil that was created from a high, that is really of significance as oil. Like we said, the car has a functional level that it moves, but you tell him, don't forget what the car is all about. What brought it up? How was it created? Who conceptualized it? It wasn't conceptualized from the functional level. Conceptualized from a conceptual level, from a oil, from a human level. Don't forget what it's about. This is but there's no other way that you can talk to the mekabel without giving him a kelim through which you illustrate it to him. Okay, I hope you have it. I'm giving the point. What?
It's probably explained in what you said. It's probably I'm hung on the words. But when you speak about a functional level,
actional level, technical level.
Okay. This is or as well. No, you spoke. Why do I ask? Because earlier you said that he's trying to reach the sechel of the mekabel, and the sechel that implies or itself.
I explained yesterday, the day before. Yes, he is giving him on the technical level, but he's pointing out. Please understand that within the technical level, you can recognize, and I want you to focus and understand that there is also something which is beyond the technical.
So for the mekabel, as he receives it, it's not complete until he works with what he received. In other words, he has to search out that this point.
The mashpia is teaching it to him. Mashpia said to him, look, you could see this thing, right? Isn't it amazing that you could see it without having to touch it? It's a physical entity. It's a rock. And you can relate to it from a distance. The fact that you can relate to it from a distance is attesting that you also have the perception that there's a reality to this on a spiritual level, on the sechel level, rather than on the physical and touch level. This is what I want you to realize. This is the sechel hamekabel.
He touches on what the Talmud already has, and he says, look, you have this. Notice what you have. Or is he saying, I'm giving you this, and you didn't have it before?
I'm giving you this, but you have the means by which to receive it. You can't teach this level of sechel, the lowest any level of sechel, to an animal, because it doesn't have the means by which to relate to it.
It's interesting. The mekabel relates to it, but would not have gotten to it.
Right, because
by
he
himself.
is into the kelim level, and through the keli he gets to see. Oh yeah, I could see something from a distance. That's how he first is alerted to the sechel element.
Right, and these realizations, he senses them inwardly, but he needs to be alerted to them from
The mashpia has to reveal it, has to point it out to him, yes.
What? And just to, why would it not be that if somebody has this innately, we all have sechel innately, why would it be that a person doesn't make progress to see? Why does he need that outside input? Why does he not develop his own sechel to the point where he actually sees the way things are, where he sees the or? Why does he need somebody else to say, hey, look at it this way?
Well, it all depends. It depends on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
There are individuals who are so sensitive that there is such thing as sechel, and they begin to research on their own and to sense it on their own. It's true.
Mm.
Was that the case of Avram Avinu?
Come on. What is this about? Okay, we understand. So this is
An individual that understands it by himself. That level of individual.
Okay, let's stay. So this is what he says. So therefore he says, the oil of the mashpia has to be in Salmon completely in order for him to be able to identify the oil ha-sechel ha-shayach hamekabel. The api hanal, okay, now we are 4 lines from the bottom. The api hanal yesh leiman. I'm sorry.
5.
Yeah, ואם כן, and therefore לפי זה, איך הוא יאפשר לישור הקו מבלי שיסלו האל לגמרי. How is it possible that the oil hakav should remain without removing the oil completely? If you only remove the oil completely, you don't even recognize the oil sechel ha-shayach al ha'olamus. But according to what we have introduced now, that there is the SS Filas Hagnusis. Now we can understand, being that there is a root and a source for the oil of the kav in the oil of Tzimtzum. What is the oil of the kav? The oil of the kav is the oil, like we said, the oil that a multi-pointed oil, not oil in soif that represents the absolute truth itself. A developmental, a step-by-step oil. This
is now now we understand this. It says since now we understand this because of the mashal that the Rebbe gave.
Not the mashal, because we have come now to know. He pointed out that there is SS Filas Haknuzis, that in the Ayin Soif there is the shoyresh for the oil hakav.
No, that's what I'm asking. Did we? Is that through the mashal of the mekabel and the mashpia and the mekabel that we we learned something about the spheres?
No. Mashpia mekabel, this is what told us there has to be a complete helm. That was the emotion. And that's why we say, what kind of question that the Eitz Chaim asked? That there should not have been a total tzimtzum. But that's the only way you can identify the oil, hashayach lo-ilamus. Hello?
Okay, I think I have it.
Okay. So therefore, the Rebbe says, but now that we know that there is a source, a root for the oil hakav within the oil reception of Niyat Tzimtzum. V'hein es esfiras agnosis. And this oil hakav that is within the oil reception of Niyat Tzimtzum is the es esfiras agnosis, they contain es esfiras. These esespheres is not the etzem of the Ein Sof habli gvul. Rak ma sheklurim be'Ein Sof. It's only that they are incorporated within the Ein Sof. But the Ein Sof habli gvul really cannot itself emanate worldly level oil. But since within that oil inside there is esespheres, hagnuzis, which is world level oil, it is contained within this oil inside, which this in from containment will be discussed this few days. Well, the gabe bechino adregezu, and from the perspective and relative to this bechino madrega, this madrega of the esespheres that are contained within the oil inside, relative to this oil madrega, oil hakav hu bechino gilehal, then the oil hakav is not a novel creation, but it is contained within its source, which is gilehal, is not only revealing that which is concealed, which is contained earlier on a concealed level. We discussed the principle of Gili HaHelam, Sunday, I think, quite conclusively. And therefore now we can justify the kushya that the Eitz Chaim asked. Now we can justify the question. Yitzhak kushya. What is the kushya? The mipnei man yisalim ho'in lagamri. The kasha is, why was the oil yisalim concealed completely, totally removed? Like this is tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is the oil was completely removed. Harei hoya maspik, wasn't it sufficient? She yisalim rag ho'el sheb'chinas ein sof. That what should be concealed only the oil that is the Ein Sof aspect of the oil. V'yishoir, and should remain oil hakav, the oil hakav hanimshech mehoshes filas agnuzi shebekol shebein Sof. The oil is Sof, the oil hakav that is drawn not from the oil in Sof, but from these SS filas that are contained in the Ein Sof. So why did it have to be removed the oil completely? You should just conceal the oil in Sof per se. But that which is contained within the oil in Sof, which is the SS filas, that should remain, and that becomes the cup. This is the question, and this is now we can justify the question. Finally, we got to the conclusion of this wondrous thing. Okay. So what you have said like this, there has to be a tzimtzum. According to the question of the Eitz Chaim, there has to be a tzimtzum. But the tzimtzum is only to conceal the oil in soif, but not to remove the oil altogether, because you can conceal the oil in soif and let the remain the esesphiras the way they are contained in the oil in soif. I'd like we should relate to this principle, because we have the Mishalim that illustrate this. Like we say that the oil hakav, oil hakav we have identified in our concept the focused light rather than the daylight. In daylight, we do not have the question, we're not even alerted to the fact that we are seeing things at a distance and we don't have to touch it. Because nothing is at a distance, we're all in the same reality. But when our means of seeing is by shining, by putting a light at the object, then we are alerted to this phenomenon. That we're seeing things at a distance, and begin to delve into it and understand what kind of miracle this is. If the daylight would be present, we would never recognize the oil on the world level. Therefore, the oil in soif had to be removed. But the principle that there is the ability to see objects, that the oil in soif, like we said, the esesphiras haknuzis, that it is able to illuminate objects to see them from a distance, that should remain. Not under the oil in soif umbrella, but directly to see objects.
And this required, so to speak, that Yom would be removed completely.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to say. There had to be a tzimtzum. There had to be a tzimtzum, but not a complete tzimtzum, complete removal of the oil.
What was left? The cup. We're saying what was left.
The oil which is the source for the cup should be left behind.
The oil that the source for the cup, which is not the oil itself.
Not the oil. This is the question of the Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim says that the tzimtzum consisted in removing the oil totally. And he asked the question, why did it have to be a complete tzimtzum? Why didn't he remove the excess, the oil in soif element, and leave behind the esesphiras haknuzis in place? Why did it have to be totally removal and then reintroduce the esesphiras?
So it was totally. In fact, as the Abishai created the world, it was removed completely.
That's right.
And the order of the kav was reintroduced.
That's right.
That's what it in fact happened, as is explained to us.
Right. No next step.
So why then do we focus?
No. Wait a second.
What's next step? Okay, go on. I don't know.
So the Eitz Chaim is asking that particular. This is the question he's asking. Why was it completely removed? Since that in oil in soif there is already the basis for the oil hakav, you don't have to remove the oil completely. You remove that which is the oil in soif element and leave behind the oil hakav.
And why didn't that? Why isn't that why isn't that valid to say it that way?
That's what the Chaim asked this question.
Yes, yes.
And now we need to come on. What is the question?
I'm
Translate the word question.
to know what the question. My question is,
Come on.
oh my goodness.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
That I can receive.
Yitzchak Akushya. We needed to strengthen the question.
Yitzchak Akushya, the kasha is justified.
It's established.
7:31.
Yeah, I'm sorry.